I'm Nancy Alexander of Ladybug Wreaths, and I'm so glad to be talking with you today. It's almost fall. I feel the hint of fall in the air. I have for the last couple of days. And I love using cornucopias and fruit of all kinds in my fall wreaths. Now, I had an idea of something I wanted to film for you today. We're going to be going through photos that were taken about this time last year when I was finishing my book that's for sale on Amazon right now called Make Your Own Wreaths for Any Occasion and Any Season. And we took thousands of photos for this book, but we didn't use all of them. As I was looking through my file of the photos today, I thought, wouldn't it be a neat idea if I just kind of scrolled through these photos and talked to you a little bit about what I'm doing? I think this would be very good for you to follow. It will be easy to follow because the photos are so big and so detailed. And of course, I always love talking about making wreaths, so that's no problem. I've been talking to some of our members lately, and they just love fall. I think I love fall because of all the colors. And I don't just use fall colors like the orange and the yellow and the brown and the red. I like to use lime green and purple and yellow and a lot of colors that I use year round. And in this wreath that I'm going to be making, actually I start with a wreath base that's already got the honeysuckle vine and the ficus leaves in it. And I'm going to first just put some fruit down in the base of the wreath. I always call that the focal point. But then I'm going to take that fruit back out and I'm going to put a cornucopia in this wreath. Now, I started doing that years ago when I had my storefront business. And everybody that came in they just loved it. They just kept saying, I've never seen a cornucopia in a wreath. Now, we're not talking about this little bitty thing. We're talking about a big one. If you put it in there properly, it's just going to fit right in. So I'm going to start scrolling through some of these photos, and I'm going to show you how I worked on this wreath while we were taking photos from my book. Now, this first photo, you can see, it's just grapes and pears and eggplant, banana and carrot and a cucumber and apples. They're just lying on my counter waiting for me to get started. So let's get going. I'll talk about it as we go. I start with a pineapple. Now, if you've seen any in the store or if you're buying wholesale, that's where you can get the best pineapples, really. They come with leaves that are wired. So in this photo, I'm running my finger along each one of the leaves to kind of open them up. If not, they're just all pulled up really tight up under, at the top of the pineapple. Now, I know you don't know what I'm doing here. These pineapples are heavy. They've been weighted, which means when they were made, they were stuffed sometimes with gravel or with sand. And I didn't want a heavy pineapple in my wreath. So we figured this out years ago. I'm using my screwdriver here, and I'm probably going to hit it with a hammer. I don't know what's next. If I can make the holes deep enough and turn the pineapple upside down, I can pour all that sand and heavy stuff into the trash can, and I have a lightweight pineapple to use. Yeah, I did use a hammer because the bottom of that was really hard. And then I kind of wiggled the screwdriver around. I believe the way they've made these, they're in little pockets inside the pineapple. So you can't make just one hole. You're going to have to make several. And as soon as I have poured out all of the sand and the little pieces of gravel, I've got 3 or 4 holes in the bottom of my pineapple now. So I'm going to cover that with glue. Putting a little bit more, a little bit more. Now I'm using a 6-inch floral pick, and I'm sticking the pointed end down inside the holes I've made with my screwdriver. And I'm leaving them in there. So I'm going to put another one in. And I want you to notice as I go that I'm putting them in at an angle. They're not sticking straight up, straight out. So this one must have had 3 holes because it looks like I'm adding 3 floral picks to this pineapple. I'll pull my microphone up a little bit so you can hear me good. Now, on the ends of those, you can see where the wire is on the floral picks. Now I'm going to cut those at an angle because I don't need the wire. And once they're all cut off, they've got sharp points on the end. All of those pointed floral picks are going to help me anchor that pineapple into my wreath. And in this photo, I am sticking the picks that come out the bottom of the pineapple into my wreath. I've put some glue on each one of those picks. I've put a big blob of glue on the bottom of the pineapple. The picks are going to help hold it in, but also the glue on the bottom is going to help hold it in also. I'm still working at it, trying to make sure it goes in the right place. You'll have to twist it around and move it, but eventually it's going to be just right. Now I've got one of the little picks hanging out here, but that's okay because the others went in really tightly. Now I don't just glue the bottom of the pineapple. I wrap a pipe cleaner around one of the leaves and then I tie it into either a piece of honeysuckle or a piece of the wreath. And it probably will show right now, but later on you'll be cleaning up your work and putting some hot glue on that chenille stem and putting some green moss on it. So it won't show up at all when we're through, but you can see how there's a good bit of space there between the pineapple and the wreath. But you don't have to worry about that because it won't stay open like that very long. Okay, there's our pineapple already stuck in. Now I like to kind of anchor the pineapple, and I do that by using some flat mushrooms. These are real mushrooms that have been preserved, and they work really great. So I'm just kind of sliding them around right now to find a really good place that they fit in. If you look at a tree where these flat mushroom, sponge mushrooms are growing, you can see that they kind of overlap each other and grow one on top of the other. So that's what I was doing in that last photo. Now I've got lots of fruit that I want to use. I make a hole in my fruit and use a long pick. I take it out and put glue in that hole, and then I stick the pick in again. And it doesn't take it long at all to dry. And then I'm going to cut it into a sharp point. And I found a perfect place to stick the pick from the cucumber in. And as you can see, I've got the mushrooms kind of layered on top of each other, and there's a space right there, but it'll be covered up when I'm through. And I'm going to add an apple. I'll put a pick in it the same way as I did the cucumber. Make a hole, fill the hole with glue, and then stick a pick in it. And then cut it at an angle and slide that right in. You can see the pick is going at an angle kind of underneath the pineapple, which is great. And it just kind of slides right in, and that apple's going to sit right on top of that mushroom. I'm liking it so far. What about you? Now for some fun things. I've got some carrots I like to use. I don't remember where I got them because I bought someone out of all they had a long time ago, and I've still got carrots. So what I do with those is tie them in a bundle of 3. I just kind of think they'll look better because they're small. I like them tied up together like that. First, I'm going to use some of this wrapped wire. This is florist wire, but it's wrapped in tape, florist tape, so it's not so sharp on your hands. I'm going to cut it off and stick those in there. Now you're probably thinking, oh, that wire that you tied it together with is going to show. Well, when I'm through, no, it's not going to show. And then I kind of twist them a little bit sideways so they just all look like they're kind of coming out of the ground right there. Now you can see where I'm starting to put some pinches of moss. That hides it really, really well. And I love to put bananas. I love the way they're curved and they hang out when you're using fruit. And I'm going to put a pick right in the end of that banana too. I'm making a hole, and then I'm going to put glue in it and then cut it at a point and stick it right in there. And it hangs out a little bit, but it's got such a long pick on it. And then I put a lot of glue, so it's going to stay. I'm thinking about those grapes. I'm thinking they're going to look really good hanging out between the pineapple and some of the fruit, don't you? Now, those are just very inexpensive grapes, but when I finish a wreath like this, nobody's going to know they're inexpensive. And you can tell they've got a plastic stem on them, but that's okay. And look what I'm going to do. I hold the pick up against it, and I thread the wire through that little hole in the end of the plastic part of the grape. Then I'm going to twist it really, really tightly. And then I'm going to wrap it in floral tape. That just helps hold it in addition to the wire. Now that looks like it's ready to stick into my wreath. What you think? And it's going to go in right between the 2 mushrooms and underneath the pineapple. And I moved it down a little bit. First I had it on top of one of the mushrooms, and I decided it would look better to come out from underneath. And then I put another type of grapes up on the top. So you can see the 2 different types and the 2 different colors, how they accent each other. Now for my purple eggplant. Those are really pretty mixed in with fruit. I love using them. I'm just kind of trying out a spot or 2 here and there just to see where I think it's going to look good. Notice in the other photo, I put the fat part in first. Now I'm trying it with the point, the skinny part of the eggplant stuck in first. And that looks the best. That's looking really good. Oh, now I've got some of these small lime. No, these are pears. These are green pears. And I've already put one in right underneath the cucumber. And then we'll slide another one in right there. That just adds so much color, and I love the way it anchors the bottom of the wreath. It makes it look heavy and full. You know what I'm doing? I am changing this wreath. think I told you in the beginning, we started with a wreath base with the honeysuckle vine and with the ficus leaves. And using that very same base, I am making several different wreaths from it. So I'm switching over to fall using that pumpkin or gourd, whatever you want to call it. That looks good too. You can leave all the other fruit there and just take off the pineapple and put the pumpkin in. That is neat. The colors are still great. There's another little gourd over here to the right side. Now, I don't think I'm anchoring those in right there. I'm just kind of laying them there so you can see how it will look. Yeah, that's good. And you don't have to move the rest of the fruit. There's another small gourd I'm going to tuck up underneath. It's kind of a brownish color. I'm not as fond of that color, but mixed in with all these pretty colors, I think it'll be really good. Oh, and I moved the eggplant, tucked it up underneath. So that's looking really, really pretty. I love it. Got several views of that because we were taking photos for the book, remember? Okay, now this is going to be my favorite. This is a pretty long cornucopia. This one doesn't have a huge opening on the end, but honestly, I have used those with the large openings too. This is just what I had in stock, so I thought I would try this and show you how a wreath looks with a cornucopia in it. And I don't know that I'd ever seen another wreath with a cornucopia with fruit and vegetables and all of the gourds and pumpkins flowing out of it before I ever started making them. But it's fun. Now, I just kind of hold it up to my wreath. I've noticed I've removed all of the fruit. I've still got the 2 mushrooms there. And I'm just wiggling it up in there. I want the opening to be maybe not in the middle of the bottom part, but close to it. As you can see, the end of the cornucopia, as it gets really small, is just laying up, kind of up inside the wreath over on that end. And I'm looking at it, thinking, trying to decide if this is the right spot before I actually start anchoring it in. And I think it is. When you buy cornucopias, it's good if you can buy some that have a little space between the woven part. And this one did. I'm threading pipe cleaners through it to anchor it in. As you can see, I've got one coming out and then about 1 inch apart. The other end is stuck in and coming out. When I make a wreath, it is made to stay. It is not going to come apart. It's kind of like building a foundation. And I'm very careful with every step of my wreath foundation because I'm just adding weight onto it more and more as I go along. So if I don't start out right, then it's going to be in trouble. And things might fall out, and we don't ever want that. That's where it came through in the back, and I'm just finding a place where I can tie it on. It's tied on to, that's one of the little smaller stems of the wreath, but that's not going to be the only place where it's tied in. So I'm looking a little further down the cornucopia for another spot so I can tie it in there too. Now, I want a little bit of greens coming out of my cornucopia. You can use grass, you can use ficus leaves, you can use whatever you've got. Notice I'm using another piece of ficus leaves. It's just very light, very airy, and I'm not going to make it really thick inside the cornucopia because there's a lot of stuff I want to put in it. Like that big pumpkin. and like those orange carrots I've got in my hand. I think that one's going to be yummy. Love it. I'm making a hole in this pumpkin the same way I did my fruit. Stick my 6-inch floral pick into the side of it, and it's styrofoam inside, so it's real easy. Pull it out and put some glue there, and then push my pick back in. And notice I'm kind of sticking it over to the side of the cornucopia. I'm not going to push it all the way up in there because I've got some long things I want to use for that. I want this pumpkin to really show. I've got some grapes in my hand right there. I want some flowing out the other side. That's a good start. Yeah, the carrots have got to go in. Love the carrots. I love the look that they give, and I really do like tying them together like that. And I've slid one out a little bit so it's a little longer, and one's a little shorter. They're at 3 different heights coming out of the cornucopia. Yep, that eggplant, that is yummy. That's good. Look, it matches the grapes. And the eggplant is starting to fill in that big hole inside the cornucopia that I'd left there. How do you like that so far? Have you ever tried using a cornucopia inside your wreath? Well, if you haven't, I want you to as soon as you see this video. And I love using the bananas in the cornucopia. Anything that's going to curve and kind of flow out, that's what I look for. And I try it from different angles. And I've just added that red apple right on top. These still have picks in them from where I did them before. Sometimes you can just stick the pick through the side of the cornucopia itself. And sometimes I put a little small piece of styrofoam inside my cornucopia. But this one, I don't think we're going to need it. Now I'm starting to put some moss around the fruit and the vegetables because I don't want to see the spaces. I don't want to see up inside the cornucopia. Yeah, that's starting to look good. I'm just going to tuck it in pretty tight. Now I'm still adding. I'm putting the pears in now. Now the eggplant ended up inside the cornucopia a little bit more than I wanted it to. But it just fit up in there so tightly that was fine. You know, every single time you do one of these, it's going to look different. You could use the exact same materials, and they're all going to go in different every single time. Now I'm trying some different types of greens to see how I like them. I'm not too sure about that one. Now that one I like. I don't know the name of that, but it's got some little tan flowers on the ends of some of its stems, and they're kind of soft stems, so they kind of fall out. I'm looking for things that won't be so stiff that will kind of fall out of my cornucopia. And those ended up a little bit higher after I'd kind of played with them some and stuck them here and there. Yep, I'm liking it. Are you? Are you getting the fever? Are you wanting to go to the store right now and go find you a cornucopia basket to go inside your wreath? And this is a pretty good size wreath. I think maybe this was either a 22 or a 24-inch wreath. But I have put these inside small wreaths too. And it works good. Now, y'all have probably heard me talking before about how I do not like to only use fall flowers in a fall or Thanksgiving wreath. I like to use everyday flowers too. And these are some of my hydrangeas that I love. And I'm liking the way that color looks as I'm tucking them up underneath the basket. And now I've got a blue one I'm trying too. And I tuck them in and kind of see how it looks, see if I like it there. Just kind of experiment with it. And I need another stick. Anytime I'm working with a wild birch wreath, if there are any sticks, any of the birch sticks that need to be cut off, I cut them off and I save them. Up at the top of this wreath, it's a little bit bare. It's not as wild an area as I want, so that's where that long stick is going to be glued in. And I find a really tight spot to stick it to. And I need another piece coming out from underneath the cornucopia, the bottom of the wreath. And you can see I'm kind of reaching up underneath the honeysuckle, underneath the mushroom. And I notice these pictures are a little bit out of order, but that's okay. I think maybe I put the fruit in there and then I took it back out because I told you we're making several different wreaths out of this, different designs out of this exact same wreath. So there we have it. The cornucopia with the everyday hydrangeas, the pinks and the blues. And actually the blue hydrangea has a little touch of that purple that's on the eggplant. This was a fun wreath to make. And I've enjoyed going through all the photos with you and kind of explaining what I did, because we were taking these photos as I was making it to go in my book. Make Your Own Wreaths. And you can buy that on Amazon. Okie doke. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed getting to talk to you about it.